to the cloud.
Welcome to episode number 283 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording on October 3, 2019. A ton of things to talk about this week, including virtual Versailles, artificial skin, social news, sidebar search, Instagram jail, work life, hashtag laundry night, Twitter DMs, Zuck's tapes, net partiality, and a lot more. And BL kicks it off with the best story of the week. BL, what do you got?
Well, given the world news of the moment, it's tempting to watch cat videos all day, but nobody can do that. So I came across virtual Versailles. We've talked about before Google Arts and Culture and how extraordinarily wonderful they are. And now they have a new immersive VR experience that lets you explore France's absolutely grandest estate, one of the most impressive architectural achievements ever. And you can get in there up close and you don't need a headset. And so it includes stories, images, videos, games, puzzles, quizzes, like which royal would you be? I was hoping I would not be Marie Antoinette. Most of all, you get up close views of the art, the architecture. They talk about how 1780s style impacts fashion today. There are 3D models. You can have a tour of the gardens, which are astounding, and a whole lot more. And then there's a game on the Steam VR app, which I'll put a link to in the show notes. And if you're worried you don't have the equipment so that you can enjoy it, you know, like a headset, in this case, don't worry, because the 3D renderings of spaces like the Royal Opera House and the Coronation Chamber can be toured in your browser through Google's Poly platform, which was new to me, but super cool.
Very cool. So are there sculptures or is there textiles?
Everything. You name it, they've got it. It goes on for days.
Very nice.
It's just, you know, the sculptures, the bed chambers, the royal this and the paintings and the statues. And I mean, it's an incredible place. And you just, you know, usually if you go there, you're like, you know, all these crowds, just you, private view.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that that VR doesn't capture is tactile, is feeling the, you know, it would be awesome if you could feel the sculpture, feel the textiles, or, you know, the things that are, or
they never let you touch them.
Even the surface of a painting, right? Because, you know, Van Gogh's, for instance, he uses a lot of paintings, so there's actual textile feel to the paintings as well. But with this new technology that's coming out, perhaps you can in the not too distant future. This is an article by Georgina Torbet of Digital Trends, who reports that Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne, researchers have invented a flexible artificial skin that can provide that tactile, that haptic feedback, which obviously can be applied to virtual reality.
How?
Well, I'll tell you. The skin is made of silicone and electrodes, and so it comes out in a gel. They have a machine that prints it out, basically, but it can conform to shape. So you can wrap it around your fingertip or your wrist, and it can provide feedback in the form of pressure or vibrations. It has these sensors embedded within it, and it can detect deformations so that the feedback can be adjusted in response to your movements, which obviously it makes it more realistic feedback, but also more usable, especially when you consider its application in the medical field, right? It's stretchable, so it can stretch up to 4 times its original length. So that makes it durable. It can withstand daily use. It could be developed for, as I said, for medical applications, but obviously the marketing application could be highly immersive VR experiences. So, you know, in shoot 'em up games that I'm fond of, having feedback of getting hit with bullets and everything would be pretty awesome. But there's one industry in particular that I can think would be all over this. They usually are at the forefront of new technologies, and I'll leave it up to you to guess which one that is.
Music.
Nope, that's not what I was thinking of.
What? not art, because you
The
can't
porn
touch.
industry.
What?
The porn industry.
Oh, geez.
Of course.
Well, I'll tell you why I didn't think of that. Yeah. No, but you can't touch artworks in museums. But if there was a way to do it in virtual reality, that would be amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. Although the Metropolitan Museum and museums in Italy do have times when people who are blind can come in and interact with art and touch the sculptures, not the paintings, because some of the paintings are many centuries old and you can't touch them.
Yep.
But this sounds like an amazing development.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have news that could have been in good news or bad news. It's from an Arthur Hutchinson article in Social Media Today, and it's about a new Pew Research study. And I could have put this in good news or bad news. It kind of depends on your point of view. But the study shows that most people are getting news coverage from most people are now getting their social media news coverage rather than getting it from major media. And the majority see this as biased, sensationalized, and untrustworthy. Nonetheless, they continue to get their news from social media. So that's according to this Pew Research study. And it shows that American news consumers have significant concerns about the impact with bias and sensationalism among their issues. It's based on a survey of more than 5,000 customers, and it shows that the majority of people believe that social media has a negative impact on news content and that the platforms themselves have too much control over the flow of information. Equally concerning, though, is the suggestion that social platforms are boosting content that shares a particular political point of view, which conversely would also mean limiting the reach of other points of view. Is that happening? How do we know? But each user is going to have their own personal viewpoint on this, and this does not bode well for Facebook because it's talking about creating a trusted news section, like anybody's going to trust the news in Facebook. But anyway, what does that mean for our understanding of world events? If we don't know who to trust and yet we rely on these sources for our news, how is anybody going to have a firm opinion of what needs to be done or who to vote for? So with an election coming up, we can only hope, and we've talked about this so many times, that people will vet their sources before they post on social media. Some very intelligent and dear friends of mine are constantly posting stuff that, they didn't check on Snopes. The likelihood of people starting to vet their sources and look for legitimate news sources before they post, probably 0 to none, but, we can only hope.
Yeah, I think two things. I think people, political news in particular, people will share it because they agree with it, not necessarily because they trust the source or because it's true. They may know the source is crap or dodgy or questionable. There's sources that sometimes get it right and sometimes get it wrong. But people will share it because they generally agree with the topic of the headline, or the headline is true, although the article is crap, right? So there's that dynamic going on in our political conversation with news sources. But on the other thing is, I think over time we are becoming more savvy, and it takes longer, so you're still seeing this, but over the time we're becoming more savvy about what kind of information we're consuming. I know I am. I know you're skeptical of that, but I think if you look in the long haul of the platforms that have come out, people used to do a lot of stupid things in email that they don't do anymore. Because they've learned to use the platform and they've learned. What
do you mean, that Bill Gates is giving away his fortune and all you have to do is click on this link? Yeah, that kind of stuff is, yeah, right. That kind of stuff is not happening, but oh my God, fake news is spread every day.
I came across a tweet today. So the Minnesota Vikings, one of their wide receivers, Stefan Diggs, is disgruntled, and there were rumors that he was going to be traded and everything. I came across a tweet that looked like an official tweet from the Buffalo Bills football team saying, "We have traded for Stefan Diggs." It looked exactly like it was an official tweet, except the account for it on Twitter was Buffalo Bills, but missing one F. So it was clearly, you know, the things that you look for, that doesn't sound right to me as a Vikings fan. I didn't hear it anywhere else. So you look deeper if you think something is suspicious and find out that this account, well, it's actually a fake one because it's missing an F in the username. So there's that kind of stuff. But my reaction was, that doesn't sound right. Look a little bit deeper, and you find something that tells you that it's fake.
That's you, Dave. You work in media. You are, you know, a person who spends, as I do, a lot of the time reading. And most people do not have crap detection resources. Most people do not have journalism training. And I think that this is why so much misinformation is spread.
Well, I get it, but what I'm saying is, you know, the data that you shared from Pew is that most people are getting more and more of their news from social media. The more that you use the platform, the more you get used to what works and what doesn't in it, and you become more savvy in the use of that platform. I'm not saying that I get it. We're media consuming omnivores, and so we are more have heightened awareness of these tactics and everything. But over time, ordinary people are becoming more savvy, I think.
There was a very good editorial column in the New York Times. I'm sorry, I can't remember the author at this moment, but it was entitled "Why Leftists Should Watch Fox News." You know, you should really know what the opposite point of view is. And what happens to us is we tend to converse with people we agree with. You know, I block all the people who support that man.
Well, I agree with that. And I used to adhere to that all the time. But when the other side, I mean, there's no reasoning with some people, right? So.
Well, there's not, but you know, you really kind of need to know what they're hearing to form their opinions. It's an interesting topic. It really is. One that I don't think we'll solve right here. So let's move on.
That is. Let's move on. So Google is testing out. This is from 9 to 5 Google's Abner Lee is the reporter. Google is testing out a new feature on desktop search. It's available right now in mobile search. So last year they started rolling out dynamic organizing of search results in mobile searches. So you can it makes it easier to find out what information to explore next based on what you've searched for. You can see this in mobile. So I searched for Minnesota Twins and New York Yankees. And I've got screenshots that we'll share on the show notes because the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees will be playing tomorrow in the first game of the playoffs. That's another story. And in those searches, you can see the knowledge graph. On mobile, there's a knowledge graph for your team at the top, and there's a bunch of tabs with subtopics below that, like the games, the standings, news for the team, the players. You tap on those subtopics, and it opens up that content within search, so you don't have to perform another search.
Oh, I love that idea.
The same dynamic organization is being tested on desktop now, according to a Reddit user who captured a screenshot. We'll share that in the show notes as well for what it looks like on desktop. And in this case, the person searched for the video game Halo Infinite. And in it, it had the knowledge graph of that game at the top of the search results with the standard news, video, images, shopping, and more links on the top of the search, just below the search box. But off to the side is a sidebar of subtopics for Halo Infinite that includes like gameplay, reviews, songs that are in the video game, videos of the video game, and so forth. So thinking of how I like to point this stuff out because it's a good way to examine how Google search might be changing and to try and prepare for how to optimize your content in anticipation of that change. And it's interesting how they are organizing these subtopics. So if you take a look at those searches, you can kind of understand how to engineer your own content to get visibility within these different aspects of Google search, because more and more Google is trying to keep you within the search results rather than sending you off to another website.
So the search results open up within the search page. It doesn't open a new tab?
Correct.
And then you can come back after you look at that to the rest of the search.
Yep.
That's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it's great. It's a fantastic user feature, but
Right.
for those of us who want to get traffic to our websites,
Right.
it's another
To study
issue.
it.
So
Yeah. Study what people are looking for.
Yep.
That's a really great one. So this is from an article by Amy Jo Martin in Adweek, and it's a must read, really, because she explains and why you should not make any platform your home on the internet, or the base of your online identity. And it made me realize, she said, I'm not leaving the platforms. They're powerful. They're amazing. They've changed my life, but they're in control. What would happen to your brand if Twitter went under tomorrow? What we're blindly putting our businesses, our marketing, our livelihoods in the hands of strangers. We've talked about this before, and we have zero control. Why we do this? It's addictive, and it seems to be working today, but what about tomorrow? And she says, my question to you, if a social media platform went away tomorrow, where would you be? Or if a social media platform changed drastically, where would you be? She said, I'm not suggesting that you shift your loyalty completely but you should build traffic to your own website and focus on your own email communication, because those are the only things that you control. And that's absolutely true. And there have been over the years businesses that, completely were based on the Twitter API. And Twitter said, oh, you can't have that anymore. And they're gone. There were businesses that completely put their livelihood for their brand on Facebook. You can't do that. You have to have your own place online, and the only one you own is your website, your blog. That's it. Well, maybe your YouTube channel, but because I don't think YouTube's going anywhere, but that can change.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said over the years that these channels, these social channels, you're leasing the audience there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can build an audience there, but ultimately you don't have the control over it. They can change the terms of service. They can filter so you can't reach the majority of your audience like Facebook did. So what you use these channels for is to acquire audience to your
Exactly.
own properties. So your website, your blog, your podcast, your email list, most importantly. But that's the whole premise of why content marketing became a thing, right? To build your own audience around your own platform. And so this is an example of a company that's doing it. This is from a media post by Sarah Guaglione.
We really need help with that.
Yeah, we do. And it's about Staples, the office supply company Staples, which has launched, and I want to talk about this months ago, but I finally got around to it, has launched a quarterly magazine that's both online and in print for professionals who, quote, see their work as more than just a job. So it is part of Staples' new branding effort. Their tagline is the Work-Life Fulfillment Company. It launched in April. The magazine is called Staples Work Life, and its initial circulation is 250,000 copies. First issue includes an interview with Daniel Pink about motivation mistakes and how to correct them. There's an article about company culture, managing workplace conflict, etc. It is all the things that you would, all the type of content you would imagine if you want to reach the professional working person. It is also part of the magazine, is also part of a larger campaign that includes a podcast, an email newsletter, and live events. So Staples, is transforming itself into a content company that sells stuff rather than a company that sells stuff. And if you think about how Amazon has done it, they went from a company that sells stuff to a content company that sells stuff. They've got Washington Post, Amazon Prime Video they're offering, Audible, Twitch. They're a content company that draws people to them through the content in order that they may sell stuff. So there's
and that helped them to become the most successful company in the world.
Yeah,
pretty
and
amazing.
then they got all this data on which they can outperform everybody and offer additional services and so forth. So yeah.
And those keep growing day by day. So this is just kind of a fun thing. The Tide, we always talk about brands that have a sense of humor. And for the last 4 weeks, Tide has been trying to keep us guessing if we were watching a Tide ad or some other kind of programming during Sunday Night Football, which you probably saw, Dave. And they had an ongoing debate about what's the best night for laundry night, the hashtag laundry night. So this is from a story in The Drum by Kyle O'Brien. And the laundry night debate started with Peyton Manning declaring that in order for people never to miss their favorite players or plays, that Tide, NBC, and the NFL decided that Tuesday should be the official laundry night, with the NFL standing for not for laundry. Then there was a fake promo from The Voice where Gwen Stefani stopped a contestant to declare that her program is on Tuesday and Sunday should remain the official laundry night. Then Manning issued an apology and said there were plenty of other nights for laundry. So then the cast of Superstore got into the mix, and they were trying to push people away from doing laundry on their airtime, starting another feud with Manning. And it wrapped up over the weekend this was hilarious, with an appearance by Kenan Thompson, Nick Offerman, Peyton Manning, and even the Bud Knight King. And Offerman provided a thoughtful solution. So we'll put that in the show notes so you can see what it was. It's hilarious, though.
Yeah, I did see it, come to think of it, but I stopped paying attention because it was Peyton Manning. So
I wasn't your team.
Overexposed. Well, not my team, but this guy is just everywhere. I'm sick of him. So, yeah.
Oh, come on. It was funny.
Maybe I'll take a look now.
Yeah, I have no more good news.
This is a quick one. This is from Adweek's David Cohn, who reports that Twitter is rolling out filters for unwanted DM requests and a search bar for DMs. So, you know, if you're
that would help.
If you do a lot of customer service on DM, that helps a lot, obviously. But my thing is, last week we talked about the swipeable lists, or the week before last.
I haven't got those.
I haven't tried on mobile. On mobile.
Oh, I do it on mobile. I still don't have it.
Oh, okay. So my complaint was there's no search. You can't search your individual lists for just the tweets of the people on your lists, right? They've got the technology. If they're adding search bars for DMs, then add them to the damn lists.
Right. Of course they should.
That's mine. I'm done.
Okay. So in bad news, and this is kind of a developing story, but this was from a big scoop by Casey Newton at The Verge, and he had 2 hours of leaked tapes from Facebook with Zuckerberg railing against critics and competitors, Elizabeth Warren, and the US government. And it was a huge scoop. It was an internal Facebook meeting in July, and the answers, you know, Zuckerberg is known to be tight-lipped and non-expressive, and here
he doesn't blink.
He doesn't blink. I know. I've watched him. He doesn't blink at all. And here he, you know, he was more casual than usual, but still Mark Zuckerberg. But Casey Newton concluded that the tapes show that Facebook is really rattled by recent events. He said, Zuckerberg said, it's just that breaking up these companies, whether it's Facebook or Google or Amazon, is not actually going to solve the issues. And, you know, it doesn't make election interference less likely. It makes it more likely now because the companies can't coordinate and work together. I don't know about that. And he said, it's why Twitter can't do as good a job as we can. He said they face qualitatively the same kinds of issues, but they can't put in the investment. Our investment on safety is bigger than the whole revenue of their company. And then everybody laughed, I guess, because he's the boss. And he also discussed his plan to take on TikTok with Facebook's new clone called Lasso, which is rolling out in Mexico. And he said, we're trying to first see if we can get it to work in countries where TikTok is not already big before we go compete in countries where it is big. So the tips are a really interesting inside look at how Zuckerberg talks when he's not in front of Congress or, you know, making a speech, but he's still a little bit less than casual, let's put it that way.
Awkward.
Very awkward man.
Yeah. So this is a Washington Post article by Tony Rahm, who reports on the FCC, the District Circuit Court of Appeals decision, nearly 200-page decision on the FCC's attempt to unravel net neutrality, and they basically sided with the FCC. So the judges found the arguments of the opponents of or the proponents of net neutrality, they found those arguments unconvincing. But even as they upheld the legality of what the FCC is doing to unravel net neutrality, there's a bit of a silver lining in this. They did rule that the FCC had overstepped its authority when it barred states from adopting their own open internet protections. So this will give some will allow states to put in their own regulations in terms of net neutrality. California has adopted their own rules last year.
But
it
didn't those
also
get overruled recently?
I didn't see that.
I think they did.
They were challenged. I know they were challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but this is more legal wrangling over net neutrality as a result of this ruling, because the FCC will have to go back and change the things that they don't, that the courts didn't like, but also as more states, blue states, start to adopt their own rules, the FCC will challenge those as well. So it could push the whole issue beyond the 2020 presidential election. So another reason to vote Democrat.
So that's funny,
Sorry,
Dave.
couldn't help it.
So speaking of that, are we on to politics?
We are not. We're on the shiny new stuff.
Oh, I don't have any. Go ahead.
Okay. This is LinkedIn. So this is from a Social Media Today article by Andrew Hutchinson. And LinkedIn has some new targeting features for their advertising tool. They've expanded their audience forecasting tools to make it easier for you to see exactly who your campaign will reach, and adding more specific data on your audience. There's a quote from LinkedIn that says you can customize the panel to surface specific professional characteristics like top industries, years of experience, or company sizes for your audience. When combined with contacts you've uploaded to matched audiences, you can be sure that you're not only serving ads to the specific prospects you're trying to reach, but that you'll have the demographic insights to deliver the content and creative mix that will resonate with them. So they're adding more features and also providing more demographic insight on those audiences that you're targeting. Another thing they're adding too, though, is Boolean logic to the ad targeting. So now you have the ability to use and, or, and not operators to be able to expand, narrow, or refine your audiences through the ad tool, which is a hugely important and powerful tool to be able to use in your ad targeting. They're also improving the demographic reporting options and allowing you more specific insight into exactly who is responding to your campaign. So a nice addition to LinkedIn's ad targeting features.
Yeah, my cousin just used it to fill a position, and she said she got 200 applicants via LinkedIn for about $200, and that they were quite targeted, better than she got from any other medium. So this is working. But how many people know Boolean logic?
Well, people do know, a lot of people know and, or, not from searching.
Yeah, I hope they do.
But it's built into the tool, so you're not constructing the query yourself. You're just choosing the options, and it builds the query for you.
Oh, okay, that's very cool. Yeah. So on to politics.
Yes, there you go.
In New York Magazine, this was from Matt Stye, and he retweeted this very bizarre campaign cartoon video by this organization called Power Tie. They don't have a website. It describes itself on their YouTube channel as our mission is to create a more informed public, challenged and invigorated by a deeper understanding of silly videos. They have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, and I have to say I couldn't make heads or tails of either one. On YouTube, it says Power Tie is a membership organization that, in partnership with its member stations, serves the American public with programming and services of the highest quality, using media to educate, inspire, entertain, and express a diversity of perspectives. Now, what's not clear about this video, which is a cartoon, is whether Trump paid for it because he retweeted it, whether it's a campaign ad, or is it a joke? So in the first scene, it shows Trump in 2017 placing a Marine's hat back on his head after a helicopter gust knocks it off. Then you see his extremely cursed appearance on Saturday Night Live as a host in 2015, where he danced, which was really a horror show, followed by his September 2016 appearance on The Tonight Show, who could forget it, when Jimmy Fallon ruffled his hair, ruining his own reputation. And about halfway through, it gets political, and it includes Trump's inauguration and what appears to be a conversation with Chuck Schumer, but Chuck Schumer is a clown. And, you know, the video closes with a shot of a MAGA rally and the incident at CPAC in March where Trump hugged an American flag. And then in stop motion, it almost looks like a touching moment rather than a real-time shattering of the world leader's mind. So Steve concludes, assuming the clip has Trump's approval, it's a telling 45 seconds to highlight, because some of his most joyous moments have occurred when he's not performing the role of a politician, but when he's really not doing anything. I'll put this in the show notes. It's an animated video with Trump dancing and hugging the flag and behaving in a silly way until he gets serious about politics. It's rather terrifying, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like a Trump propaganda channel. It sounds like they're trying to attract kind of not strong Trump supporters, maybe casual Trump supporters, and because it's a combination of entertaining stuff and blah blah blah.
But if he retweeted it, did he pay for it? Is this a political message? What is it?
Yeah, it's a political message, and he probably didn't. Somebody paid for it.
Somebody paid for it, and I bet it was his campaign. But in any case, it's pretty chilling. So you have another one.
I have one. Yeah, this is from a Vice article by David Uberti, and it is an interesting. This is another content marketing play, but for politics. Priorities USA, which is Democrats' largest super PAC, is putting a $100 million plan into place to target trying to get Trump out of office. They are flooding swing states with stories that are favorable to the Democratic agenda by establishing basically 4 news outlets that are staffed by Democratic operatives and will publish state-specific information in swing states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Wisconsin, and also boost independent content in those states in order to convince voters that Trump's economy isn't working for them. So they're expecting to the digital spend on this will rival many presidential campaigns. They're going to spend above $1 million a month. Put tens of millions more towards TV commercials and get out the vote efforts as the campaign evolves. And they brought their ad teams in-house so they can do quick response to the news cycles. They're going to push out content across Facebook, Google, and elsewhere. And it will face off with the Trump re-election effort, which has spent, according to when this article was written, a couple of months ago, probably, because I wanted to talk about this and I haven't brought it up till now. But at that time, 13 million in digital ads that the Trump re-election effort had spent. So it's more now. But
I had a strange experience with a Trump ad on Facebook. I saw an ad in which he was asking for people to join against the impeachment, and you had to join by midnight, and you had to stand up. And so I wanted to share that. And I got a message that said that I couldn't share it. I was prohibited from sharing it. Why am I seeing it? Why in the world would that be in my newsfeed? But there it was. And the next day there was another one. So there's certainly a lot of money being spent if you're reaching people like me.
Yeah, I saw a TV ad for the same thing on one of the news shows.
So in the pictures that speak louder than words category, this wonderful, I don't know what you call it. It's a cartoon, I guess. It's by Josh Hara, who's an artist, and it's the Trump meltdown of the other day in action, and it's on Twitter, and you see it go from black and white to full, that picture that we've seen everyone where he's like hysterical, and it has no caption. It's just called Trump meltdown, and when you look at it, you know you've seen it before, and we're likely to see it again, but it's just so incredibly well crafted. Got to take a look at it. Yeah, I'm done, but for some reason in this video, I keep turning orange. I wonder
I
what's
noticed
going
that.
on.
I noticed
I don't know why.
Probably all this talk about Trump is.
I turned orange. Oh my God. I keep trying to fix it and it keeps coming back orange. So go ahead and give us the daily numbers.
All right. So this is about unethical marketing. This is from Phrasey, which is a email marketing service. And the question is, what best describes unethical marketing? So based on a survey of marketers, 69% say that marketing that exaggerates or distorts the truth. That's a good definition of unethical marketing. 64% marketing that said that marketing that targets and exploits vulnerable groups. 62% said marketing that conceals important information. 58% said marketing that is shaming. 56% said using unrealistic or altered images. 56% said marketing that induces anxiety or fear. There's a lot of that out there.
Is there ever?
52% said marketing that uses negative emotions like fear, anxiety, or guilt to sell to people. That's been common for the history of advertising, I think. High pressure sales techniques or tactics, 43% said. 40% said lack of transparency around use of data in targeting. 37% said lack of transparency around the source of adverts. 23% said using fear of missing out to sell more. 19% said marketing that is population selective, so excludes or targets some groups. I don't see how that is unethical unless it's in terms of like jobs and housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of what you described is what advertising does.
Yeah.
You know, targeting specific groups, avoiding others, giving, I mean, points of view that, you know, may not be fully vetted. I mean, yeah, that's really interesting that people consider that unethical. I don't know that I can agree with a lot of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 283 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And if you want to find us, you just search Beyond Social Media Show. And we'll find links to everything we discussed tonight, including the original stories at beyondsocialmediashow.com/283. I am BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. And I'm here with David Erickson, who's on Twitter as D. Erickson. The Beyond Social Media Show is beyondsocialmediashow.com, and Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. And we will be back next week, same time, same bat channel. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.